if you make a kind of identity between nihilism and refuse to the Western interpretation of human rights, freedom and democracy, liberal democracy. So in that sense, I agree. I am against that because for me, it is not they are not universal values. First of all, I think that democracy, the content of democracy is changing. I have spoken once with Fukuyama, and Fukuyama defined the modern understanding of liberal democracy as the rule of the minorities against the majority, because majority can always transform into populism and fascism or communism. So that is a completely new idea, I think. And I think that if I don't share this new understanding of liberal democracy, or if, for example, I challenge that the subject of the freedom should be individual, and that is the essence, the axis of human rights ideology, if I consider the identity of the man, of human culture, of society, not to be reducible to individuality. So, for example, in our Russian tradition, the subject of freedom or the subject, human subject, is not individual, it is collective. And that was in the time of Tsars, that was defined by church, after that by communism, but always collective identity was dominant in our culture, as well as in China, in this culture, in Indian culture, up to the same level in the Islamic culture. But I think that I'm nihilist in the sense that I refuse universality of the modern Western value. I don't think they are universal. I think they are Western, they are modern. I think the West is very powerful still in order to defend them, but I just challenge that is the only way to interpret democracy as the rule of minorities against majority, the only way to interpret the freedom as individual freedom, the only way to interpret human rights, projecting Western, modern, individualistic version of human on the other culture. That's my opinion. And I strongly blame all kind of racism. So if I find something interesting in Heidegger and Schmidt in conservative revolution in Germany, it is the points of some political realism, on some geopolitical thought, on some traditionalism and the criticism of modernity that was proper to this conservative movement, but not the racism. I always, in all my books, I always stress, and if I am bold enough, if I would fascist or racism, to recognize that. I am making many bold statements. I am blamed for them. I am against liberalism, against individualism, against human rights as ideology, but I am against racism too. And that is clear. I don't defend that. But I don't think racism I blame, because it is Anglo-Saxon liberal construction based on the hierarchy between the people. I think this is criminal. And I think that the same crime now, the globalism, repeats, because what globalists, the liberals, now try to affirm as universal values are simply modern Western liberal values. And that is a kind of new kind of racism, cultural, civilizational racism. You say, you affirm, everybody who accepts open society, they are good guys. All who challenge the open society, they are, as Popper in the subtitle of his book says, they are enemies of open society. So there's a new Manichaean division, that new racism. Who is in favor of Western values, they are good. Everybody who challenged that in Islamic tradition, in Russian tradition, in Chinese tradition, in Indian tradition, in everywhere, they are populist and they are classified as fascism. I think that is new racism. That is important, that there are differences between the people, and I'm insisting on the difference between the souls of the people, between the angels of the people, but I am against any kind of hierarchy or racism. I don't say that the Indo-European or Greek or European, South German, Indian, Iranian civilization are better, or tradition better, say, Semitic or Islamic or Judaic. I think they are different. If that is dialogue, when everybody participates, Christian, Muslim, Chinese, defending their set of values, if globalization will be the open and just and really democratic dialogue in order to find the better in all the civilization, nobody would oppose to it, I think. At least myself, I wouldn't oppose. But now it is the Western projection of what Western thinks is good or bad as universal value. Capitalism, market economy, human rights ideology, individual freedom, hedonism, technocracy, all these elements of Western historical experience, social experience, are projected on the world scale, and that is called universal. So the West is called universal. I am against that. And concerning Solzhenitsyn, I follow him because he was Slavophile, and he fought against communist totalitarianism precisely in favor of Russian people as collective identity. I am against Soviet totalitarianism. I'm not in favor, I'm not defending communism. I was dissident in 80s, but I'm not pro-liberal dissident as Solzhenitsyn. As Solzhenitsyn, I am anti-liberal. He was very critical, anti-liberal dissident.